Hello and welcome to HITC's board. So who is going to escape the dreaded championship this season? Who's going to get out of that absolute pit of despair playing midweek games away at Burton Albion? Let's have a look. Oh, and by the way, just before this video starts, we're getting so close to that 100k mark. So if you're new, yes, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. You'll be my best friend forever. Anyway, Sunderland are probably wishing, praying for this season to end. A bit like whenever you're forced to watch an Adam Sandler movie. Because at this stage in the season, I mean, this is the part where the laughter has stopped. With Sandler, it's usually about 5 minutes after the opening credits. Nobody is even turning up to watch them anymore. I mean, come on. You might as well just start letting the homeless people in to put their feet up, get some warmth, because this is just embarrassing. Although to be fair, being forced to watch Billy Jones and Donald Love, they probably prefer the streets. Literally, Sunderland fans could just come in these days and have an entire row all to themselves. It's a shame what has happened to this club. It seems like only yesterday they were singing on the pitch as Newcastle were relegated at their expense. Now it looks very likely that next season they'll be booking away trips to Wimbledon and Accrington Stanley. Steve Bruce was returning to the club who sacked him 7 years ago. Although for him it was a bit like running into an ex who's not only fallen on hard times, but looks as though they spent the last 9 months sleeping in a shed. The game was over before halftime. Lewis Graben scored against his old club and doing nothing to hide his delight before James Chester grabbed a second, and then Brian Oviedo, goal-scoring hero of the weekend, turned into his own net. Sunderland should probably just stop playing anyone they bought over the last 2 years, because most of their signings have been absolutely horrific. I mean, they wouldn't be able to field a team, admittedly not a horrible idea considering they're heading straight for League One, but like Ashley Fletcher. Really? He is a Aldi version of Fraser Campbell. As for Villa, do you remember when everyone was getting on Steve Bruce's back for about a year into his Villa tenure? Well, trust the man, he knows how to get promoted. He's turned Villa around despite going through some personal troubles. Third in the league, 4 points off automatic. They're in with a pretty great shout of going up. Norwich City drew 0-0 at home to Nottingham Forest in a game which threatened to make Coronation Street look like a thrill-a-minute roller coaster ride instead of a vehicle used to employ failed actors and X Factor rejects. Norwich fans must also be screaming for the season to end. They're 10 points adrift of the playoffs. It's been 6 games since they won. To have spent that much money and to have served up 2 successive goalless draws at home to Bolton and Forest, how is Daniel Farke still in a job? Moving on to the opposition, imagine being one of those Forest fans who are now in their 60s. You still have that memory of Brian Clough and dominating Europe, and now it's turgid Route 1 stuff under Aitor Karanka, football that would probably make your eyes bleed, and with a midfield axis of Ben Watson and Jack Colback, who I'm guessing will both have to go halvesies on a 12-pack of Factor 50 for any pre-season trips away. But I just feel sorry for the Forest fans. It's been so long. I mean, the last time they were in the Premier League, Bill Clinton was president, David May was the European champion. Oh, and everybody thought that the world was going to end. You could have told me, lads, I'd already developed a serious gambling habit and chronic addiction. Admittedly, they both involve Pokemon cards and Calpol, but still, I think it's going on. Fulham masters of... I don't know why I keep smacking my hand. Fulham masters of the late season 4. Lads, they're going up, aren't they? They just are. They are not a championship team. Last season they won 11 of their last 17 championship games, before somehow losing to Reading in the playoffs. Now, after a pretty uninspiring first half of the season, including a 6-game winless run, and becoming the only team to lose to Sunderland in a year, come on lads, you could have sent a bunch of homeless drunkards out on that pitch and they would have got a point. But they've won 10 of the last 13 games. Anyway, the last time Fulham played Sheffield United, it was a crazy game, 5-4, with Ryan Sessegnon, the teenage left back, grabbing a hat-trick. Sessegnon, by the way, is going to be some player. I mean, like, we talked about things that happened last time Forest were in the Premier League. Back then he was just a piece of spunk sitting in his dad's left bollock. Hope my mother didn't watch this one. Actually, do you want to hear something that's going to make you feel really old? Yes, my audience of mostly 15-year-old boys. Shout out to the 2% of women who watch this channel. It's probably just my mother spamming her friends. Sessegnon came out and said a few days ago that his childhood idol was Luke Shaw. Luke Shaw is a professional footballer's childhood idol. What? Christ, Luke Shaw has barely put down the acne cream himself as it is. Although I'll tell you, back in my day, Christ, couldn't sound more like an old if I tried. My childhood idol was probably Damien Duff and, in a weird way, Titus Bramble. You know, just for proving to the world that just about anyone can achieve things in life, even if you have the most perfectly square head in all the land. And I know at least one Newcastle fan who took that piece of motivation and ran with it. Anyway, back to the game. Alexander Mitrovic scored twice. Hey, Newcastle scored a goal match, but Fulham have to be red hot, steaming favourites to go up this season. And you know what? I embrace them. It's a nice family club, Craven Cottage, nice little stadium. They're always prone to whacking up a weird, completely irrelevant statue outside the ground. You know, just for the crack. If you get promoted, I'd like a 10-foot one of Ian McKellen mowing the lawn. As for Sheffield United, they tailed away a little bit. They started the season like a house on fire, attacking the automatic places like their centre forward might a drunk girl in a nightclub. Oh wait, it's not 2012 and he's actually been acquitted. So sorry about that, Ched. But anyway, now the Blades are 9th, 3 points by 6 with a game in hand. The inconsistency is creeping in. I think they'll come up short, but listen, Chris Wilder's done a great job. And don't let anyone tell you different. Not even me in another video, because I contradict myself all the time. QPR against Derby County. A battle between two clubs that feature on Harry Redknapp's CV. Then again, where hasn't that man been? If football clubs were like sexual partners, that man would have to visit the STD clinic more than the cast of Geordie Shore. It's just a visual none of us needed. I don't know why I took it. I apologise, alright? 4 years ago, the 10 men of QPR beat Derby in one of the most undeserving playoff finals I can remember. But 4 years later, the Hoops don't have a prayer of going up. 16th in the league with Ian Holloway at the helm. Shoot me now. But Derby are doing well. They usually do before it all goes to shit. They're currently 5th, nicely secured in the playoff spots. Just wait for that end of season implosion. You know it's coming, Ram supporters. But come on, let me ask you, do you really want to get back in the Premier League after your horrifically tragic performance last time out? I mean, will they let you back in? That was a bit like when you spew your guts all over the floor of the fanciest restaurant in town and then you get barred for life. I think even if they did get promoted, the Premier League officials would just be like, no, you're gone. The cost of therapy sessions probably doubled in the Midlands area over the next 12 months. The two sides played out a 1-1 draw anyway, with Massimo Longo denying Derby County all 3 points. Remember when QPR had big plans to take over the world and decided that the best way to do that was to chuck big fat paychecks at men with impressive CVs but no appetite? I hope you enjoyed the Premier League, Tony, because you're not getting back there anytime soon. On a side note, QPR fans, would you take Joey Barton back? Just wondering. I can't tell you who's going up for definite, but I can tell you who for sure isn't. And with that, Reading and Bolton were playing out a relegation 6-pointer. Mo Barrow gave the host the lead before Adam Lafondra scored against his old club. Both clubs are now on 35 points, 5 points above the drop zone. For Bolton, I mean, yeah, okay, that's alright. I mean, sure, they were playing Bayern Munich 10 years ago, but whatever. For Reading though, do you remember when Jaap Stam was supposed to be the second coming of Christ? I can't tell you the litany of former disciples of Sir Alex Ferguson where big things were expected of them after a decent start to their managerial career and then just drop off. Nowadays, I wouldn't even let Paul Ince near a f***ing school team. I wouldn't let Adam Johnson either, but that's for different reasons. Reading have been so poor this season. How were they in the playoffs last season? Just how? But a bit of good news, it was nice to see John Flanagan get a run out. Former England international who's working his way back to full fitness after sustaining a serious injury kicking his girlfriend in the leg. Burton played Brentford. Oh, truly the game of kings. I bet that's where Pep Guardiola spent his Tuesday night, scouting all the top talent. No, but seriously, Burton versus Brentford sounds like a fixture plucked straight from the depths of League 2. Wait, hang on. Do you hear that? That's the sound of all 7 of our Burton and Brentford fans violently clicking on subscribe at once. Now come back, we need you, the 100k. Alright lads, I'll be nice. Nigel Clough is operating in a tin shed every week. I thought you said you were going to be nice. On a budget where I'd be surprised if the tea lady wasn't there on a voluntary basis. They're 23rd, wedged on 29 points. It's not looking great. Worrying news for Darren Bent. It seems that his love affair with the bench knows no bounds. Despite costing tens of millions in transfer fees, he's now languishing down the pecking order behind Liam Boyce of Ross County and Cliftonville fame and Marvin Sordell, the kid who was inexplicably picked for Great Britain at the Olympics in 2012. Which is a bit like when you find Islam Slimani in the World 11 on FIFA. But geez, come on Ben, you're only 34, is this really it? 10th place Brentford, 5 points outside the playoffs, well, with a game in hand, dark horse maybe. They won 2-0 thanks to Kyle McFadden and Ali Watkins. I know disrespect to fans, but I'm genuinely wondering if you've lost the will to live by now. How is that not disrespect? But lads, there's just no real worse existence than mid-table in this f***ing league. Just existing in that little chasm of nothingness and having 0 to play for by April every f***ing year. Making all those trips to Brentford and Millwall, assuming the home fans haven't slashed your tyres, all for nothing. When you think Ipswich, you think mid-table. Since 2005, 15th, 14th, 8th, 9th, 15th, 13th, 14th, 14th, 9th, 6th. Oh, slow down, you might get a nosebleed. 7th, and finally 16th. Absolutely thrilling stuff. Felt like I was in a Nicolas Cage movie. I mean, there's been loads of false dawns. I remember an influx of Ipswich jerseys around the west coast of Ireland, around the time when Roy Keane got the job. That did not work out well for anyone concerned. Mick McCarthy, a man who Keane knows well, he thinks you're a has been at Ipswich since November 2012, overseeing 272 games with a win ratio of 38.2%. Lads, he had a better win ratio at Sunderland, and it took him until January to win a top flight game. Ipswich fans must be bored, disillusioned. But good news, he just beat Sheffield United 2-1 away from home, with a double from Martin Waghorn, who is now 28 years old. Jesus Christ, where has that man's career gone? But yeah, I mean, they're 12th, destined for a life of mid-table mediocrity, spending another 10 years searching for the key to the playoffs. As for Sheffield Wednesday, playoffs the last 2 years under Carlos Carvajal. Christ, this has been a god-awful season. The manager's gone. He was probably still counting his severance pay when he accepted the job offer at Swansea. They've now lost the last 4 games and are only 7 points above the drop zone. They just want this season to end. And honestly, something needs to change, or they could be going down next season. This time last year, Gary Monk was being tipped as a future England manager, mainly by Leeds fans, and looked like he was about to get back into the Premier League. Fast forward 12 months, 2 more sackings have stained his CV. He'll be lucky if he doesn't end up in League One. In what world did he think accepting a job offer at Birmingham City would be a shrewd move? That is a club bereft of confidence, ideas, hope. They stayed up by the skin of their teeth last season. A bit ridiculous they were even in that position, considering I was doing fan views in November, asking Birmingham fans if they were looking forward to the Premier League.
I've got every faith that he would hopefully do that for us.
I think playoffs.
In the next 5 seasons we'll be up there in the Premier League.
I'm not going to put a time frame on when, but eventually,
yeah,
I'd love to see him take us up.
Hopefully you'll still be alive by then.
Birmingham sacking Gary Rowett is like me breaking up with Jennifer Lawrence. It doesn't make sense. But they'll need more than a Monk if they're going to stay up this season. They've lost their last 8 games, with their last win coming against Sunderland. And does that one even count? Last month they won 360 minutes without scoring, just like my friend on every night out. I've dug him out on every video in the last month. So unprofessional, it's untrue. This time out, Monk went 1-0 down to the club who sacked him before Christmas, with Patrick Bamford having woken up and remembered he's a footballer. As for Middlesbrough, they've really got their act together since Tony Pulis has taken the job. Under Monk, they were sort of floundering a little bit. But Pulis has them solid, compact, scoring goals, and it's not even the worst caveman style football ever. I mean, it's not great, but it's not like he has Roy Delap launching grenades at the centre forwards on the pitch. Remember when everyone was up in arms when Nigel Akin was hounded out of Southampton in favour of some unknown Argentine guy who couldn't even say good morning in English? Remember what a joke of a decision that was? While Pochettino takes on Juventus this month, Adkins is currently teetering on the brink of League One, losing yet again with Hull City, at home to Millwall. Goals from George Saville and Jake Cooper gave the visitors the win. Abel Hernandez grabbed a consolation for the hosts. But wow, what a shocking season Hull are having. I mean, Ryan Mason, if it's any consolation, you don't have to play with this bunch anymore. As for Millwall, listen, quite a few of you have been a bit annoyed by my portrayal of your club lately. You know, that I keep comparing your fans to the Dothraki, or insinuating that you celebrate every goal by stabbing each other with broken glass. We have fun on this channel. But listen up, lads, because I'm gonna give you a bit of credit. You're having a great season. Promoted last year, Neil Ayres is working wonders. You're up to 11th now, comfortably clear of the relegation zone, unbeaten in 11 league games. You haven't lost a game since New Year's Day. That is an amazing feat for a club who were playing Port Vale and Chesterfield last season. So does this mean you won't petrol bomb my car now? Joke's on you, I don't have a car. Jermaine Jean has copped a bit of flack this week, with many claiming that the former PFA Young Player of the Year doesn't even deserve to be a pundit, and gets in purely because of his good looks.
Because you're a bit of a f***ing pretty boy.
Whatever floats your boat, big man, would have thought you'd have liked them hairier. Well, back in Ireland, our most famous pundit is Eamon Dunphy, a man who was released by Manchester United and who went on to play for the likes of York City, Millwall, Charlton, Reading and Shamrock Rovers. He's essentially the Robbie Savage of RTE. Anyway, a couple of highlights from our national treasure.
This fella Ronaldo is a cod.
Neymar is, you know, in Europe he's failed.
Gerrard, right, found out tonight. Nothing player.
You know, you put out Joe Hart, Kyle Walker, you know, Danny Rose. Where's the players? Sturridge, Harry Kane, Dyer, Dele Alli. They're not real players.
Ronaldo's performance tonight was a disgrace to football. To go out and behave himself in a big match, in a semi-final, the way he behaved himself tonight, right up to the final seconds of the match. He was diving, pretending he was pushed, throwing his hands up in the air with cutaway shots of him there. He's a disgrace.
You keep hearing people say that Gerrard is one of the greatest players in the world. Another myth.
Ronaldo is the classic modern brat. He's a brat of a person. He's the modern player. He's got gifts. He's got no character, no resilience. He's flash, and he'll always do it against the little teams. But last Sunday, when they needed him against Arsenal, he cost them the match, and he'll cost them a lot more.
Now, I would fancy Ireland against England.
When is Jermaine Pennant ever going to be in a team that wins the Premier League and wins the Champions League? Never.
What a great lad. Anyway, he's probably in a dark state of deep depression after Wes Hoolin announced his international retirement. Despite being 35 and a Norwich City bench warmer, he was apparently our country's last great hope. Don't worry though, Eamon. Andy Reid was also one of our supposed saviours. We have found you someone else. Alan Brown with a majestic chip for Preston over Frank Fielding the other night. Oh, absolutely beautiful. I guarantee you this is going to be the next man going right in Mr. Dumphy's pocket for the next 10 years. A bit of creativity, an alternative to Glenn Whelan. Oh, you are going to be his best friend forever. With the influx of Irish at Preston these days, you would swear Deepdale was turning into Temple Bar. Not unless you have to pay €9 for a f***ing drink, you wouldn't. Sean Maguire, formerly of Cork City, came on and bagged the winner against Bristol City. Finally, an alternative to Shane Long. By the way, Sunderland, just a heads up, you're playing Preston on Paddy's Day. I can only imagine that's a good omen for you, considering half their team will probably be half cut. So why am I just perpetuating Irish stereotypes? For sake. As for Bristol, it was a blow. A win would have sent them 2 points clear in 6th. Instead, they're 7th, with Preston breathing down their necks. Oh, to be a Barnsley fan, I'd rather cut off my ears with hedge clippers. They've had a rocky 2018. Paul Heckingbottom signed a new contract in February. He was gone to Leeds before the ink had even dried. They lost again. Callum Patterson and Marco Grujic scored for Cardiff City, with Oliver McBurney on loan from Swansea scoring against the Welsh. Listen, it was a decent showing from Barnsley. It's a tough place to go, Cardiff, and I do think they'll have just about enough to stay up. As for Cardiff, Neil Warnock is a f***ing miracle worker in this division. I'm sorry, but he just is. They're now 4 points clear of 3rd. They look odds on for promotion. A couple of slip-ups from the leaders, you never know. Maybe even the title. Oh, and Leeds are playing Wolves as I edit this. Listen, Jorge Mendes FC are going up this season. As for Leeds, stop sacking your managers, because I think we're all collectively willing you to get back into the top flight. You're a big club. It's been nearly 15 years since you've been there. I mean, we all want you to be back there. Financially strangled, having to go from Champions League semi-finals to Stockport County away, from Rio Ferdinand to Scott Wootton. Bit of organisation and cop on. You can do it. You can do it, alright? Anyway, lads, I said at the start of the video I wanted to uncover who's going to get promoted, and I didn't answer anything, did I? No, I just created more confusion. This is what it is. You just come to my video, you just get more confused. Doesn't matter what I think. Who do you guys think will get promoted this year? Anyway, that's the end of the video, lads. Cheers for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And as always, talk to you in a while.